Do you want me to go
Yeah.
first or last?
Yeah, Carrie,
Okay.
you go first.
Yeah.
I am Carrie Smith. I am your game master, and this is One Class Act. And my fun fact is the Shining. The maze scene in The Shining was used. It was filmed using 900 tons of crushed styrofoam.
Wow.
What?
Yeah,
That's
and it was
So
like
bad for the environment.
it was like yeah, it was like I feel like it was
They
like
didn't
over
know it back
80
then, though.
degrees. Yeah, it was like over 80 degrees in the studio, and they're all bundled up in coats and shit. Like they had to seriously like strip down and like fan people off because they were so hot on set filming in 900 tons of crushed styrofoam.
Well, I don't have any styrofoam facts, but I'm Adam Sowards, and I'm going to be playing, I forgot my character's name, I'm going to be playing Buttons McKettle, and my fun fact for today is about trees. One tree produces nearly 260 pounds of oxygen each year.
Are all of our facts involving measuring things in tonnages? Because
We're gonna
I need
find
to find a new
out.
fact.
Oh, yeah.
Mine is not.
Everything's measuring tons. But yeah, that's mine.
Hello, I'll go. I will be bold and decisive. I am Nathan. I am you may know me from the Reckless Attack podcast. I will be playing a person in this bard game. My fun fact is that ravens, when they are teenagers, go off and join raven teenager gangs and then just hang out and cause trouble until they find a hot fellow raven teen to go mate with, and then they mate for life, and that's just what they do.
Is this
That's my
true?
fun fact.
That's amazing.
So you're saying it's Crow Rumspringa?
Yeah, kind of, but like even more so, where it's like they go off to summer camp, but it's summer camp for like an extended period.
I mean, that's why they call it a murder, because it's a bunch of teens. It's just so dangerous.
just all raven hormones.
That's so Raven. My name is Candace, also known as Candace the Magnificent. I am going to be playing Whimsy Thistledown. And a fun fact, so I am left-handed. That's kind of fun. I'm also quite right-brained, and I tend to go a little too hard on all of my characters.
That last one is false.
That's what we like to see.
There's no such thing as going too hard on your
Yeah,
character.
I know.
You think?
Hey y'all, I am Bob McDonald. Lots of people call me Best Bob. I will be playing my character that you should be familiar with from The Prisoners. I am going to be playing Barth Gross, but it's Barth before you find him in The Prisoners. So
A prequel.
it's a prequel for Barth, yeah.
Prequel buff.
Love that.
Oh, and my fun fact is I had heart surgery when I was 14.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Like
But
fun,
I have no
fun heart
scars.
surgery?
But I have
No
no
scars?
scars.
A
Yeah.
recreational heart surgery?
Yeah, just
No,
like for fun.
so at the time
Sorry about it.
I was in freshman year of high school, and I had been running for about 8 years. I would be running and my heart rate would go up. It would just bump into arrhythmia, and my heart went into arrhythmia, and they took me over to the EMTs there, and they're like, you should be dead. Your heart beats at like 210 beats a minute. So finally they got a cardiologist to read my EKG, and they said, you have this rare thing called Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome. So I had this heart surgery where they blasted that extra like connection with radio waves, but they like stuck a catheter in my arm that went and like looped into my heart, and then they like hit it. It was pretty cool.
That's
It
wild.
was
So
was
Bob's
wild.
a superhero.
Yeah.
I'd say that concludes today's recording. I don't know if we'll be able to tell a more fun, dramatic story.
Bye,
than
everybody.
Radio wave.
I'm over here
heart
like
surgery.
I'm left-handed.
I mean, that-
Our scene opens in the continent of Fallmount. Royal families and important people from all over the continent and the world have been invited to Fallmount to celebrate Coronation Day. The prince stepping into knighthood as his father hands down the crown, and while Crown's Peak will be full of royals and different festivals and celebrations all over, people below the peak are having a coronation celebration of their own. That was hard to say. Coronation celebration. The smell of baking bread and fruit pies, the clear air and the shining sun warming your faces as midday grows nearer by the second. You can hear the sound of celebrations happening all around you, cheering and laughing. Boisterous laughter. A festival of sorts down here on the ground. You can see purple flags hanging, showing the Royal Fallmount purple with pride at various booths and events. The camera flies around the booths for a while. You see like apple bobbing, archery contests, pie eating contests, tarot card readings, axe throwing. There are people crafting wooden swords or axes for children that come by after their parents pay, of course. But the camera stops at a stage. A stage made of old wood from probably like the docks with like old tablecloths draped over it, and with a hand-painted sign that says Battle of the Bards across it. 4 bards stand at each corner of this stage. In like a wrestling match sort of way, everyone in their own corners, tuning their instruments, possibly staring down at competition before them, looking over their notes of whatever act they have prepared. Nathan, introduce your bard. What do they look like? What are they holding an instrument? What do the other 3 see as this camera just turns directly to your corner?
So, well, everyone else, while there's, kind of some quiet energy building, and I'm imagining everyone else again, tuning, kind of reciting things, chatting, doing whatever it is that decorated bards do to get ready for a big time performance. In one corner of the stage is just an elderly old man. He is human. He has most kind of notably are a couple of features. One, he has a long, beautifully kept white beard. Think a little, kind of Gandalf the White E. We were talking about Lord of the Rings beforehand, so that's just is in my brain. And then has a kind of long, flowing, but very, boring robe on. That is pulled up into a hood. He's not hiding his face or anything, but is, kind of covering up all his things. It doesn't look like there's any hair poking out, but you can't quite tell. But has long sleeves, no other skin is showing, including over kind of his hands. And he is just standing there very intensely and solemnly, just kind of bobbing his head a little bit. And around him, the only other thing that is kind of notable is around him are 3 different things that are covered up with tarps that are both, pretty small, but kind of not tiny instrument sized, I'll say. And then atop one of them, just kind of looking very seriously and throwing out a caw every once in a while, is a large black raven that is watching the proceedings. And he's just kind of standing there bobbing his head, and every once in a while he'll turn to the raven, mutter something, and just kind of shrug, and then go back to kind of bobbing and looking around at everyone else.
The camera
Oh,
the camera whips around to another corner. Best Bob, what do we see when we look over at your bard?
you see a stout halfling standing in his corner. He is dressed in probably very country boy-ish ways. He would have sort of cowboyish boots on, tight sort of jeans on. He would have a sort of a flashy type of shirt. It's not like a regular sort of like it would be like a shirt you would only wear while you're performing. He does have a weird contraption that is a mic that comes down to the side of his mouth, like and nobody's really seen this type of magic before, but he has this from his he's known throughout the land because he is absolutely a performer that people have seen hundreds of places. Everybody wants a ticket to a Barth Brooks concert. He is well known all over the place. So that's what you see. He is tuning a lute, and he's getting ready. Actually, he's looking over a piece of parchment because he's just going through his set list. But he is definitely, just focusing on the performance that's about to happen here.
Amazing. And then whoosh, the camera like flips over to one of the other corners. Candace, please introduce your bard to us.
The camera pans around and you see a really beautifully kind of stitched velvet, like puffy cap with a really large, brilliant, like rainbow-esque looking feather kind of like jauntily kind of placed in the corner of it, and this like full round fluff of curly, kinky curly, reddish brown hair. And you see kind of like a pert backside in some blue tights, a really nice jerkin, like a little vest, and a very nice, like very, very voluminous sleeved blouse. You can only see the back of this person because they are currently, they seem to be engaged in quite a deep conversation with a gaggle of attractive people that are at the base of their area. As they realize that people are kind of chanting behind them, they spin around, and you see this really cute, freckled, green-eyed, very kind of cinnamon brown-skinned elf there, half-elf. Kind of almond-shaped eyes that are like large and bright and inquisitive. Very androgynous face. Clearly femme, but also could pass as maybe a gentleman as well. They have a very rakish smile, almost wolfish. And over their shoulder, they prestidigitate a handful of roses and kind of dash them toward their admirers. And as they kind of float toward their hands, they like explode in a shower of like pink and gold sparks. And they wave as they don a little tambourine on their foot, and that has like some beautiful ribbons on it. And they start tuning up their lute that has like a beautiful mother of pearl kind of inlay in the front. And they bow. Whimsy Thistledown. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you on this day.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Uh-oh. It's right.
Oh no, they're hot.
You can send all fan art to no.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't post it on Twitter because they might take it down for being too erotic.
They're too hot.
The camera like goes to move away but just can't for a moment and just stays. And then it's finally like the camera is just pushed and shoved to the final corner. Adam, please introduce your bard.
First you see a walking stick, and then the camera has to pan down, and you see an old man goblin who has similarly a very long white beard as the other old man on the stage. And it goes almost down to his feet, and he's got little overalls on and dirty boots and glasses on the tip of his nose, a little green goblin man. He's just holding his little staff, and he's looks sort of out of place in this scene, but he has very kind eyes, and he's probably talking to like Is this outside? Are we outside at
Yes.
this stage?
Yes.
I feel like maybe he's talking to someone who's organizing the event. He'd be like, "Oh yes, you've been. I can see that you're going to go far places, young man. Yes, very much so. I can
And it's
see
someone
this
like
party.
literally putting up like a tent, like, yeah, so many good places.
It's a very good tent. I remember one of my 30 sons put up a tent like that, and it was very, very good. Very good. Yes, yes.
Someone else walks over and is like, "Excuse me, sir, I think. Oh, no, you're on
Yes?
this list. Never mind. Never. I thought you were
Oh.
lost. I'm so sorry."
I was actually lost in the town for quite some time, but many time people showed me the way to the stage, so I'm very grateful to you. Thank you very much.
Well, I think we know which side of the stage is the hot side of the stage.
Yeah. Oh, look at these two old geezers. Oh. Best back off, everyone.
There is already a crowd forming around the stage as people are like hearing, instruments tuning or kind of seeing that there's about to be some sort of performance here. They know that they're going to have a good show no matter what is happening here. They see a sign that says Battle of the Bards, and they see two old men, and then there's like a...
First they see the old men. It's important. We catch the eye, not the other two. The old men who catch the eye first, obviously.
Yeah. There is a decent crowd, and there's probably a very large crowd at Whimsy's corner, due to, previous discoveries of, oh no, they're hot. Your corners have been numbered. Barth Brooks is at corner number 1. Buttons McKettle is at corner number 2.
You could call me Pappy.
We can, but we won't.
Okay.
Ballin Bargrove.
I
Ballin
think should definitely
Bargrove. I was like, it's not Ballin. There's no way.
We just wait until after the performance, and then you can decide.
You can decide.
Ballin is in corner number 3, and Whimsy is in corner number 4. I am going to roll a d4 to see who will be taking the stage first. I will say, whoever is going first is going to begin with inspiration. So you will have inspiration for being that, that first person to step forward. All right, so first up, the little announcer that doesn't really seem to care or want to be here necessarily, kind of like addresses the crowd, and he's just looking around. He's like, Barth Brooks, and just kind of steps away.
Barth is kind of surprised that he is, opening the
Yeah, I was
act.
gonna say, Barth's
He's
not
used to.
an opener.
He's usually, I'm usually the headliner here, but it's been a couple years. He understands that he's not as popular as he once was. He's sort of waning at this point, but he's like, well, I'll do it. That's fine. And he comes out and he brings out the parchment with him because he sits down and he's like, welcome. Hey, everybody. I'm so glad to play for you today. I was going through my set list and I was looking at all my old hits, but something hit me last night. I've been performing recently at, I've been sort of having in residence at the Drunken Unicorn, and it's been a couple months since I've been around, and I had this one lovely elf that I had been seeing for some time, and but she decided that she wanted to end it last night. And inspiration happens in very, very different ways, but I was at the Drunken Unicorn, and I was sitting at the bar, and I pulled this parchment up, and well, my first song is a new song. I just wrote it last night, so I hope you guys enjoy it. I call this one "Break Up in a Bar." Could have done it in a driveway, wave goodbye in my rear view. If you'd written me a letter telling me that it was over, I'd have tore it right in two. But you said it wasn't working, walked out and left me on this stool. But if you're gonna tell me goodbye, baby, the place you did is pretty cool. They got 100 different whiskeys. They got my favorite type of beer. They got more girls than I can count, looking good, spinning round and round, round here. Yeah, girl, you know I'm gonna miss you, and the way you felt in my arms. But when somebody breaks your heart, moving on ain't half as hard when you break up in a bar. Song.
Yeah, woo! It's really good, Bob.
There's some clapping. There's some like people aren't sure what's going on because there were 4 people on this stage. Some people are like, "What is this?" I don't what. But the singing and the performance itself is like drawing in more people as well. Go ahead and take that advantage of Barth Brooks. And
I'm also imagining that as these bars start going out, that there are roughly 6 Barth Grook diehards that are like,
oh yeah,
holy shit, and like sprint over, and everyone else has whatever reaction, but there's not a non-zero number who are like, holy shit, Barth Brooks is here, and run over.
He is here.
Someone's like, I saw him 5 different places on tour.
Yeah, exactly. It
Back
is
in
the
78.
Grooks heads, as they call themselves.
So I see Boss Grooks come out on stage. And first of all, I'm like, okay, so I have to be on my best behavior. I have to be a shining star, a gem, which I am. But quite frankly, his was the first album I ever bought, right? I bought some sheet music once upon a time, taught myself how to play his songs on my lute. I'm a very big fan, but also, this world needs a little shaking up. And someone like me might be the best challenger that old man's ever had.
Oh, I thought it was a wonderful performance. He's a very nice man. I believe I might have heard his song once or twice for some of my children, but it is very nice. And that was it. Where's the door? And then, is there anything else you wanted me to talk about?
no, that's a thank you. That's...
And
And then cuts to Balin, who's still in this still has his like hood up, big long white beard poking out, and you can see kind of now that there's definitely like it's a shaved head on all sides. I'm not really one for new music. I tried jazz about 30 years ago. Not for me. But I think you did a good job.
Beep. Cuts back to the announcer coming up and being like, it's time for our second performer, Buttons McKettle. Everybody's like, where is Buttons?
The Brooks head starts booing. Bring back Barth!
Bring back Barth!
I feel like Buttons is talking to Barth Gooks right now. That was a very nice performance.
Where's Buttons?
Very
Somebody
good,
find
young
Buttons.
man.
Buttons,
you're
McCannell!
on. I think you're on.
Oh yes, it's me. Okay. And he just sort of wanders, sort of aimlessly to like the front of the stage. And he just kind of looks down. He kind of looks out at the audience. He says, "Well, this song is a song of my home, a song of Goblin Mori. I was born on the Fulham Street, where the royal drums did beat, and the lovely gentry feet they walked all over us. And every single night, when me da would come home tight, he'd invite the watchmen out with this chorus. Come out, ye numpty snobs, come out and fight me man to gob. Show your lover you won medals down in Belgary. Tell them how unseelie Fay made you run like hell away from the green and lovely lanes of Goblin Mori. Come, let us hear ye tell how ye slandered we green elves when you thought us well and truly persecuted. Where are the sneers and jeers that you loudly let us hear when the leaders of our kin were executed? Come out, ye numpty snobs, come out and fight me man to gob. Show your lover you won medals down in Belgary. Tell them how unseelie Fay made you run like hell away from the green and lovely lanes of Goblin Mori. Come tell us how you slew them old kobolds 2 by 2. Like Kuotoa they had spears and bows and arrows. How bravely you fought farmers in your full plate armor, and you frightened them good locals to their marrow. Come out, ye numpty snobs, come out and fight me man to gob. Show your lover you won medals down in Belgary. Tell them how unseelie Fay made you run like hell away from the green and lovely lanes of Goblin Mori. Oh, the time is coming fast, and I think the day is near, when each traitor noble they will run before us. Our banner this will be, a goblin chant of victory. They'll be shaking in their boots with every chorus. Come out, ye numpty snobs, come out and fight me man to gob. Everybody show your lover you won medals down in Belgary. Tell them how unseelie Fay made you run like hell away from the green and lovely lanes of Goblin Mori.
Huzzah!
Everyone's like, yeah!
I think while the performance was happening, as it was going on, he was looking younger and younger and younger as he was singing, and then it reaches the end, and then he's like up straight, and then he hunches back down again. And he's like, oh, so thank you very much. And he just sort of wanders
Incredible.
off. And goes back to Barth Brooks. He's like, I just wanted to say again, young man, what you did was so very good. I really love your album. And just going back, paying no attention to what just happened.
I think we see Buttons talking in the background during Barth's interview reaction scene.
Well, you know, those types of songs, they've been around forever. I mean, it's awesome when people go back, you know, back to those good, trusty songs like that before. I've heard it a couple of times, but way back. I mean, I may have studied it for lyrics and stuff, but he did a great job. I mean, I salute him. He really got the crowd going. That's for sure.
I didn't know I needed Buttons McWipey in my life, but now he's here, and I hope he never leaves. I mean, that was just. I'm a bit worried about my performance now. I didn't didn't see that coming. Yes, I pride myself on being a person who is always prepared, and I find myself somehow at a loss for words. Was he a little sexy to you? And then it ends.
Just got
I'm not really much one for music. But my toe was tapping. So pretty good.
cuts to a previous scene of your foot just like
Exactly. Just bap, bap, bap.
Or just like the whole performance, nothing, and then just one.
amazing, amazing. All right, our third performer is Balin.
I was gonna say, please don't. I can't follow Candace. I watched too many of Candace's live streams. I can't do that.
I can't follow Candace.
Okay, so after Buttons has this like big shanty, kind of like stadium or arena, like kind of piece, and Balin very just kind of like purposefully, but not quickly, rolls all three of them onto the stage. There is one kind of behind him, which is the largest one. There is one kind of right in front of him, 5 feet or so, and then there's kind of one to the side of the stage. And as he's setting up, he removes the tarp from one in front, and it is a dulcimer, which, if you are familiar with, it is kind of like a giant, like percussion stringed instrument, and that is kind of set out front, kind of like where a keyboard would be at a concert. And then to the side, he unveils the second one, which appears to be a small organ with like a hand crank. There's no keyboard or anything like that. And he opens it up, and as he's kind of getting ready, he opens it up. One of the last things he does, and he pulls out a kind of it looks like maybe a wand, kind of like maybe conductor baton kind of thing. And you see him open up the top of the organ and plunk down 3 chords, like bong, 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 bong. And he kind of nods, that's the right thing, closes it up, and then cranks the wheel. And again, this is taking a really unfortunate amount of time. It's not painful, but it's just like, really could have capitalized on some energy a little faster. Balin is unconcerned.
Like, you've been announced, and
Yes.
then as you're getting ready, the crowd is getting more and more like silent, like any minute now.
Yeah, exactly.
Something's about to happen.
And Balin still is wearing his full robe at this point. And I am going to take my headphones off because I'm about to do a thing. Because what Balin does next, he kind of like kicks the organ, and the crank starts going, and it's very like kind of synthy. It's not like a whole melody or anything like that. It's just like chord, 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 just a steady beat. And he takes off his robe and you see this old man is covered in tattoos, like neck down, and is just wearing like a simple like diapery loincloth thing. And all over his body are these very simple, it's like pictograph kind of things. And anyone who, probably some, if not all of you, and anyone who knows anything about history, mechanically speaking, now knows not who Balin is, but where he's from. Balin is a member of, and then he kind of starts going in and kind of addresses the crowd, again, wearing essentially nothing. He says, my name is Balin Bargrove of the Tail-Spun Order, and this is the stone that decided. The Tailspun Order, and this is narration, this is not said out loud, is not a group of musicians, but instead a group of storytellers, people who preserve ancient stories and retell them, but has like almost a one book of stories that all of them try to learn memory and be able to recite them. And each tattoo on his body is a different story that he knows and has proven that he knows. And he is covered in tattoos. And so this old man, and he is old. He is not, there's no secret muscles. There's nothing. He is old and is not moving around super great. But he pulls out in one hand this baton, and at the end of it kind of lights up. And he starts with one hand kind of like conducting, but doing it in a way, you know, like where if you have a sparkler or whatever, you can kind of draw. And that's what he's doing with one hand and kind of doing little symbols. And the other, you can see he's like almost plucking at the dulcimer, as it's just, again, it's very simple. It's not actually it's not that musical. It's just kind of like a backing track. And he goes in and starts doing this kind of like interpretive dance style movement. Very simple. Again, he's old. Like he's not moving around like he used to. But every once in a while, maybe you get a glimpse of like, oh, okay, I see where this was maybe much more impressive 20 to 40 years ago. And he goes in as this thrumming beat goes. One day, a stone decided to move. The stone, being a stone, had not moved, let alone decided to do anything its entire life. For it was, after all, a stone. But the mossy stone, lodged in the soil, concentrated, steeled, believed. And so, the stone moved. It rolled, though it did not know what rolling was. It was thrilled, though it did not know what being thrilled was. For it was, after all, a stone. The stone also did not know. It was high above the clouds on a mountain overlooking a village. The stone rolled. It could not stop, but it also would not stop. The stone moved, falling, rolling, tumbling, crashing. All new things, all new ings to the stone. It crashed into the village. Buildings hit, fences broke. People dive and curse. But the stone could not hear, for it was, after all, a stone. It came to rest, blocking the town's river. The villagers shouted, but rebuilt, and grew, and dammed around what they had damned. And all prospered, because a stone decided. And all the while, he'd been doing these very simple kind of shuffling movements, talking through. And as soon as he says the word decided at the end, the organ crank stops, and the music stops, and the dulcimer stops. And the raven that had been hanging out with him, you see it swoop down and very surprisingly pull off the final tarp, which is a large gong. And Balin spins around and with his baton, his little baton, hits the gong, and you hear this reverberating to punctuate the end. And he turns around, he very solemnly bows, and then he also very painfully slowly starts to take all of the things off of the stage, still mostly nude.
Woo! Yay!
Now the
You
question
can
is,
send all fan art to no.
Noodle
if I got fan art of this, I would hang it up on my wall. And now the question is, when do I put my Nathan actual shirt back on? Probably now. Probably now. Probably now.
I have heard great tales of performance art. I recognize that all bards, we don't all sing, we don't all dance, we don't all perform. To me, that was quite an elegant performance. However, it occurs to me I'm missing quite a few tattoos of my epic tales. That old man might be onto something. I'll get started.
Yes, the stone story is a very good old story, and I told it very, very well. The Tailspun Order is just wonderful, very good chaps. They always have a story, and a wonderful performance too. I will go tell him what I thought of it.
I thought we were all just going to be performing musical numbers here, but that one really hit me really hard. Because I mean, what do you want to be? Do you want to be the stone, or do you want to be the town? You never know. For me, I'm deciding. I'm going to be a stone. I'm going to go roll. That's what I want to do.
Everyone's shook.
Amazing.
Shooketh.
The announcer comes up and everyone's kind of like there wasn't as much like loud boisterous cheering from this, but there's a lot of discussion. There's a lot of like chatter all among the crowds. Like everybody's like, oh my god, everybody's like buzzing about this. The announcer kind of comes up and like waves his hand, gets everyone's attention. Last but I'm most certain will not be least, and he looks Whimsy Thistledown. Like he's like, okay, this isn't as like dumb as I thought. This is actually pretty cool. And introduces you and steps away.
He says Thistledown, and like a bunch of fireworks light up the sky, raining down rainbow sparkles, twinkling lights everywhere. And Whimsy like kind of slides into place beneath this kind of cacophony of vibrant sparkles and glitters, and does a deep bow. Good day, country people, country folk, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between. I am Whimsy Thistledown. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'll sing a little song just about yours truly. I know I'm probably the least known of all of these fantastic talents. By the end of this song, I hope you know a little bit more about me. And she like does like a little swoosh with their hand, and like a pair of like hands that look like theirs come out of nowhere, like outlined in like this like pretty purple kind of magical neon. And then like a lute appears, like a penny whistle appears in the hands, and she kind of like beckons to it, and it starts to play along with the song. And oh, to me, my bosom bared, whose breed of eye and copperhead, whose mouth will always come prepared to start fist fights or sweet fondles, loves wine and women verily, sings epic ballads merrily, but approach this young elf carefully, or I might fly off the handle. All know that Whimsy Thistledown is always down to go downtown and explore a ball or hirsute mound on a willing and restless lady, but for any Tom or Brahma Bob, who's offering a rigid knob with drams of spunk ready to lob, mark Whimsy a definite maybe. Your sweet-voiced bardic nightingale will spin a dulcet fairy tale with glorious dialogue regale my friends and foes alike. a fine companion to the end. Seek whimsy out when you need a friend. The hijinks may lead to your end with your head upon a spike. And like as she kind of brings her hand down, the hands disappear, and more roses kind of come out of like her out of the inside of her like little like wristlet and shower the audience with rose petals.
People like are trying to catch them, and
Well, I didn't know anything that she was saying, but they were very, very good. I thought it was very good. I didn't quite understand most of the things, but I thought it was a very good performance.
They know what they're doing. They're on their way. Absolutely. If I was touring, I'd take them out with me. They're definitely they would be on my tour. That's for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Now I'm not touring right now, but I was. They'd be there.
Pretty hot. And then that's it.
the announcer is now like, the four of you, please come to the center of the stage here. Everybody, you heard them. You heard their performances. Now it is your turn to make some noise, and we're gonna see which of these lovely performers is winning this pot of gold today. And kind of like points down to basically it was like a donation pot that people were donating in for each performance, and then now whoever gets the loudest cheer gets the pot of gold. This is the point where if any of you would like to, for all intents and purposes, plead your case to the audience, or like, what are you doing to try to like remind the audience of like, hey, my performance was pretty good? Are you doing anything in particular before this announcer begins calling your name for cheers?
I'm definitely going and talking to each of them. Like, Thistledown, that was a wonderful performance. It was very, very good.
Mr. Buttons, quite good, really. I feel I have much to learn from you.
Oh, no, I'm sure I have much to learn from you. Those words, I had no idea what was happening. It was amazing. Do tell me, what was that you said? I can't think of any of the innuendos that you said, but he asked you about one of them in particular.
Knob. I think Knob is the one that got most of us, yeah.
What was it? Could you explain the term knob to me? I'd really love to know.
Oh, yes, quite. So you say you have children?
Yes, many.
Right. So, the wand that you wield to make your children in the bedroom.
Oh, yes. Well, they are all adopted.
I see. Well,
But I can use the staff then? This one? And he holds up his walking stick.
Perhaps a smaller staff for the comfort of all parties.
Okay, well, I've learned something new today.
Right, yeah.
Well sanded, of course.
Well sanded.
Yes.
And polished. Whimsy is kind of strolling and still kind of plucking their loot kind of casually, making eyes at every single person in the audience, and then realizes that she doesn't have full coverage. So she does a little spin with her hand and pops an illusion of themselves on the opposite side of the ring that's also mimicking all of their motions and movements and batting their eyelashes.
Balin is still, again, unrobed. But he kind of, as this is all happening, he drags his giant gong back onto the stage, imagining just like a rope, kind of situation. And he actually just stands there and doesn't say anything, but kind of with all of his tattoos super prominently displayed. And he does a final gong smack at the dramatically appropriate time. Just as kind of a way to, signal the end of the performance and stuff.
Barth is going to thank everybody for being there They're, really great seeing everybody come out, and let everybody know that he's available for meet and greets for about 15 to 20 minutes about over at the Drunken Unicorn.
I'd say Buttons goes towards the end of the stage, and it's just like, it doesn't have a very loud voice, but it's just talking to the people that are in, like, is closest to the stage. He says, now what's important is that you remember what happened to Goblin Mori, and what we need to do is make sure that those bastards don't do it again. You hear me? We have to remember, and we must take action. So each and every one of you can sign up here. Maybe he pulls out like a piece of parchment, like "Who wants to revolt?" and maybe starts passing it around.
Yeah, the title is exactly that, ANAB. That's just what's written on the top of the.
I keep spamming ANAB in chat.
And as the announcer kind of comes up to begin asking for cheering, there's a silence among the crowd, and then there's a buzz. There's a chatter, and then there's a panic, a bit of a panic, as you hear a loud crash coming from kind of a ways off. You look over, you just see what appears to be just a large stone that has fallen from Crown's Peak. It seems to have fallen all the way down and just slammed into the ground. You hear there's a little bit of panic, and then you hear kind of whispering. That's just like the story. And
He made it happen.
Balin rises up, floating, hands widespread, flames from his eyes. No.
That stone decided. That stone decided.
And there's a moment where you see that one, and as everybody kind of looks up to see where it came from, you see a second one falling, much closer to the stage now. I'm gonna have all of you make a dexterity saving throw for me.
Oh!
Why is Butler always have to make a dexterity saving throw?
My dexterity is really bad, guys. I'm really old.
Yeah, I'm old too.
19.
It's a 7.
Arth got a 19 as well.
I got, I can't do math. 12.
I'm just
Okay.
like checking every, like, did I forget a feature?
Yeah, I was like, is
you
there
know?
can we like give bardic inspiration to ourselves? Oh wait, no, we can't. We should get out.
No, I think it's usually other than yourself.
Yeah, I think it's
Oh,
everyone
allies.
else.
Give it to someone else. Give it to me. Watch out! Actually, you know what? I will give Balin a bardic inspiration. Be like, oh, watch yourself, young man. And you have a D8.
No.
No.
Balin is weighed down by the dramatic irony of being crushed by a rock,
He's like, no, I don't want it.
and is like, this is how it ends. All right.
Did you roll a 1 on the inspiration?
I rolled a 2,
Okay.
so it's a 9.
Ayo.
Does
Yeah.
a 9 do anything?
Okay. So as this seems to be whatever this other stone plummeting from the top of Crown's Peak, all of you like are just moving and dodging out of the way. You hear one final almost the hit of the gong, but it's just slammed into and crushed all at the same time. As it crushes into the stage, all of you are flung backwards. DC was 10, so anything below the 10, you're knocked prone. You're not going to take any damage from this, but you are knocked prone. You're on your back, flung off of this stage. The rest of you are able to kind of, however you prefer for your characters, whether it's like rolling or
Just
quite literally
walk
maybe the
out of the
crowd
way.
caught you. Yeah, something.
Oh!
But you see this stone has slammed into the stage. Wood is like jutting up in various places. And you hear, is this a part of the show? And people are like buzzing around and everything. They're like, this is just like the story. And then someone was like, this rocks! And someone's like, shut up. Shut up. And
Damn it, Jeremy, who let you in here?
and then the boulder begins to move.
Oh no.
As you're watching this kind of an arm come out and punch into the ground, another arm come out and punch into the ground on the other side, pushing up. You see a face come up. You see a rock golem, a stone golem, standing up on this stage, kind of like pushing and crunching at the wood. Pieces of it are missing. Like, it looks like it went through something on Crown's Peak before it flung its way down here. But you see it now standing before you, kind of hunching. Not that stone golems breathe, but you kind of see like a heaving to it. It looks like it's been through a bit of a battle already, and you just see it looking around at everybody, and you see this anger building as it raises its fists up and is preparing to smash down on all of you and the crowd. We're gonna roll initiative.
Oh dear.
Barth is up first in initiative.
He sees this monstrosity sort of, getting itself back together here, and he's going to cast Fairy Fire on it.
Ooh. Girl.
Okay. What?
So it needs to make a dexterity saving throw.
Oh, Dex? This giant rock monster?
And the DC is 14, so.
That's great, because I rolled a 4, minus 1 is a 3.
So he strums his lute, and this neon green shock of energy just throws out from it as like a sound wave, and it envelops the entire stone golem. Everybody else has advantage on their next attacks going forward.
Awesome. So you all see this golem like stand up, this full stone golem with chips missing from like a shoulder, like a whole foot missing, basically. And as it stands up, you just see Barth bring up that lute, strum, and just this loud sound wave slams into it. Is it glowing? Is it still glowing? Like it's glowing green all around it?
Yeah, it has like a green aura around it,
Cool.
which gives everybody advantage.
Cool. Is there anything else for your turn?
I think that's it. Actually, I'm gonna move away from him and sort of stand in front of Balin. He's gonna move towards Balin, like put himself between Balin and the golem at this point.
Still nude.
What's that?
Still nude.
Still nude, yeah.
Still nude.
Luckily, mechanically, my diaper functions as studded leather. Don't ask how. Don't ask questions. Don't even imagine it. I would really highly recommend not imagining it. But it is true.
I add my
You can send all fan art too.
Straight to Nathan's DMs.
Straight to Nathan's DMs. Buttons, you're next.
I would, so I'm looking at this golem boy. What do they want? I'd like to do an insight and be like, are they mean? Or they want to attack us? Like, I'm just like, oh, you fell, that's bad. I would like to do an insight if I can.
Absolutely, make an insight roll.
My insight is a +9, baby. That is a dirty 20 on these golems. Ooh, what's going on here?
So you, the camera like anime zooms in on like it's just a strip of your eyes as you're looking at this stone golem. You see it's almost like slow motion as it's raising like his fists up to slam down at this crowd. You can tell that like its immediate reaction to this is like violence. Like it seems angry. He seems destructive, and I'll say with a dirty 20, make a perception check for me.
Uh-oh. Oh, that's not good. That's a 6.
Okay. You see this faint glow. But the glow of like the fairy fire spell is kind of like obscuring it, and you can't tell if it was a different glow or not. So you kind of just chalk it up to the fairy fire.
Well, it seems to me that these gentlemen don't seem to be very happy about this situation. Maybe you should calm down. Is there any guards around?
There are very minimal guards down on this like ground level right now. Most are up at Crown's Peak, and like that's kind of a well-known thing. There are a few though, and you probably see like 3 beginning to rush in this direction. But there weren't many immediately standing by the Battle of the Bards.
Okay. I'll be like, well, we should probably have the proper authorities deal with it. And I'd like to look at one of the guards and cast Enlarge on them. Which is basically you cause a creature or an object you can see within range to grow larger or smaller for the duration. Choose either the target is willing. If it's unwilling, it has to make a con save. The target creature, everything it's wearing and carrying changes size with it. Any item dropped, blah, 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 blah. So basically, I guess they turn into a large size person if they're a medium.
Amazing. So you see one of the guards sprinting forward. You see a half-orc, completely bald head, but you see like a pretty like well-maintained beard, sprinting forward. And as you, how does the spell casting look? Does it come from your staff or?
I guess I just sort of like, huh, and just like slam like tap the staff on the stage, and I would say, so I feel like goblin-y magic is like, it's like kind of greenish, blackish red, and it's kind of like, you hear like little laughs as it's kind of like, as it's sort of like winding its way through the crowd, and then it finally hits the guard, and maybe hears like little laughs and cackles in his ears as he grows bigger.
Yeah, he's like in the middle of a stride, and then just grows bigger, and all of the items grow bigger as well. Is that what I heard?
Yes, yeah.
Awesome. So like was drawing the sword, and then just enlarges, and you watch. There's a moment of surprise, and then it just turns into like just this grin, as he just continues sprinting towards this golem. Is that your turn?
And I'd like to, as I think it's a bonus action. Yes, I'd like to give bardic inspiration to Whimsy. Just be like, oh, you look like you can handle yourself. And I'll just sort of like stomp my little staff, and then I will start to walk away to the back of the stage, away from the golems. I'd like to get away from them as far as I can.
Amazing. And that brings us to the golem's turn.
Oh no.
Let me.
What about the guard though? When does the guard go?
When a guard go.
I rolled the guard in, and I got a 2, so the guard will go last.
I don't like that.
Good, I guess.
Great,
Yeah.
cool. Just what we want, just as planned.
Well, that's also concentration for me, so if I get hit,
Good to know.
it might fuck up.
Awesome. So this golem is now going to just complete this swing downward. Barth had mentioned stepping away. Buttons is kind of moving away. So I'm going to say the only one that hasn't, like, Barth was moving away. Well, hello, Autumn. Hi.
No,
Say hi.
Bart,
Baby,
Bart's,
hi! Look at that sweet face.
Whimsy, this golem is hitting you.
I would like to use Silvery Barbs. So what that is it's a reaction, and when you see a creature successfully succeed on an attack roll ability, blah, 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 I can magically distract the creature. Basically, they have to re-roll the d20 and use the lower roll, and then I can choose a different creature within range to give them advantage on their next whatever.
Nice. So,
Basically, disadvantage and then advantage on someone else that I choose.
so you're like walking off to get away from the stage. You glance back and you see this golem slamming down towards Whimsy. It looks good. My second roll was a 15. Does that hit you, Whimsy?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have an armor class of 13.
Okay, so the disadvantage is still going to hit.
We all happy.
I'm like, you stop it! Oh boy, I'll give Balin the advantage.
Okay. So the fist does slam down onto Whimsy.
My beautiful body!
That's gonna be 14 points of bludgeoning damage. Poof! It's one of those like it slams down, one of those like cartoon like bounce sort of slams as the fist then comes back up. And then it's gonna make another slam attack. This time towards Buttons. As Buttons like stopped and turned to try to cast some sort of spell, slams the first one, and then it's just like swinging its just stone arm towards Buttons now.
I can't do anything.
That's a 12.
Oh, that does not hit! Suck it, Gollum!
Yeah.
It crashes to the ground. I'm like, young man, I believe you have needed such a temper. You should calm yourself down. I just stepped to the side.
Feels very Leslie Nielsen, where it's just like you're just wandering around, being like, "Oh, I should go hide," and then just happen to just veer slightly and just
boom. Oh, what was that?
Incredible. That is the golem's turn, and Whimsy, you're up, having just been slammed into.
How many points was it? 23, you said?
No, it was like 14. 14.
Okay.
better.
Barely.
13 or 14. We'll go with 13, just because I'm not sure.
All right. Well, I'm almost dead, so.
Well, good. Well,
I hope you're happy. Whimsy is yes, I heard that. Yes. Yeah, so Whimsy is like laying on the ground, and you can see the slam effect has like ripped and torn their costume away. They have very, very, very petite breasts, but they're like kind of concealed by this like kind of like almost like a bandagey type shirt underneath their jerkin, and it's kind of splayed open, and there's kind of a tear, and like one of the bandages is kind of unraveling, and like their hair is like all messy in their face, and like their cap is like askew, and their like little like pants have been ripped kind of up the seam, so their like legs are bare, and they're like looking up at this monster, and they're like, "Do you see what you've done? My finery is no longer fine. Oh, how dare you!" And they like move back a little bit, like how do I get away from this thing? And take out their bow and arrow.
Oh.
They have a short bow.
All right. This would have advantage, correct?
I believe so, right?
It's the D8, I think, is to you. And then
Well, and it's fairy fired.
Fairy fire.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
I
fairy
think it's
fire
the
would give
first
him
one
advantage.
gets advantage. First attack.
Yeah.
So
I got a 24.
That hits.
Yes.
hard
Roll
cut
that
to Balin
damage.
talking to the camera in an interview, laying down on the
Yeah.
grass. Pretty hot. Cut back to the back.
I get a 9. And like as like the arrows kind of like whistling through the air at this thing, I summon my illusion from before and leave it like at the forefront, like where I previously was standing, like I leave it there, like shouting at the creature, like pissed off about the raiments and the finery, doing all these gestures and stuff, as I kind of like try to sneak away to safety.
Hell yeah.
Love it. So still kind of like scooting away. I'd say some of the crowd like rushes up and is like very excited to try to help you move away from the danger.
Please, Balin, save us all.
So Balin is knocked on the ground and is pretty close to this thing, I'd imagine, still, and has Barth in front, has a big guard charging down, all kinds of stuff, a lot of things. And Balin just kind of like gets themselves up, still has their little like baton wand thing, and he actually walks toward the creature, and he is looking up at it, kind of like goes actually around Barth, and he looks up at this creature as he's walking, again pretty slowly, like pretty combination of being an old man and just moving with purpose. And he looks up and he says, "One day, a stone decided to move." And as a bonus action, he's going to use not Bardic Inspiration, but in Unsettling Words, which is his version of Bardic Inspiration. So as a bonus action, I expend one of them so that the creature must subtract the number on the Bardic Inspiration from the next saving throw it makes before the start of my next turn. And then he continues walking, still looking up at this creature, and he says, "But not all stones are meant to move." And he reaches out with his little baton and touches it and casts Bestow Curse. And I would like it to make a Wisdom saving throw with a D8 subtracted, please.
Amazing.
Yes.
All right. Wisdom saving throw with a D8 subtracted. I rolled a 7 on the D8.
Hell yeah.
Pretty good.
So
Hell yeah, dude.
it has advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. My first roll with that negative is a 6. My second roll with the negative is a 1. So
Yeah.
we'll take that 6 and still fail.
Nito Mosquito. So, and I won't change what I was going to do, knowing that it has advantage on things. So, much like Balin has told it, where some stones do not move. While cursed, the target must make a Wisdom saving throw at the start of each of its turns. If it fails, it wastes its action that turn doing nothing. Being the still stone that it is. And I think he's going, after having touched, he then just kind of moves back just enough that does this have like reach? I assume it's like a big old guy.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
He's going to step back just enough that he's not going to trigger like an attack of opportunity or anything, but is also no longer like right upon it.
Perfect.
But that will be the end of his turn.
All right, damn. And with that, you see the guards still sprinting forward. You see the large guard pushing forward as well. Shield and sword out, and you see the large guard slams into this thing with the shield and then just goes in at the ankles with this sword, basically like trying to sweep it off its feet, basically.
Oh,
That's romantic.
yeah. I've always wanted a
A
rock
large
boyfriend.
guard to sweep you off your feet.
Come on. Oh, you.
Pretty hot.
I can't cast Charm Person, but the guard can.
This This is turning into like a Valentine's Day special. I don't know what's going on here.
Bards, you know?
I mean, it's bards, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
every episode is a Valentine's
I
Day
wouldn't
special.
say we made the horniest bards, but like, I mean, bards gonna bard, man.
Bard's gonna bard.
No. Let's we don't deny what the spirit, what the flesh wants, you know? Whatever.
Love is love, man.
This guard runs up, sweeps the sword basically like right at the shins to try to just knock this stone golem off of its feet. Slams in, you see rock and stone shatter outward, but it just shatters enough off to where the golem then just turns and looks at this guard instead. It didn't seem to hurt it too much. But the attention is now on this enlarged guard. And back up to the top. Barth, it is your turn again.
I'm gonna take my crossbow out and take a couple shots at this golem here. So the first one is a natural 1 with a 7, so that one misses, and I get 2 attacks per action. So the second one is a 22.
The 22 will hit. What is the damage for that 22?
An 8. I totally forgot about lucky.
Yes.
There you go.
I get to re-roll the first one, so I'm gonna do that now.
Okay.
Didn't do much better. It's a 2. So
Still not a
that's
critical fail, so that's
Not a critical fail.
excellent. So you swing your loot around to hang on your back as you bring up the crossbow from your other side. Fire twice. One of them just like slams into it, but the arrow itself just shatters and splinters off. The second one slams into it, and you see a little bit chip off for that 8 damage there. Is there anything else for your turn?
Is there a place to find some cover? Like if
Yes,
hop
and
off
I
the
will say-
stage or something like.
Yeah, I'll say as you're looking around too, there are very few people that are actually like fleeing. A lot of people seem to think this is a part of your performance. Like this matches with a story. This was a group performance all along. And
I
that
blame
is
Whimsy,
kind of
honestly, is that there's so much theatrical like spectacle that everyone's like, well, of course, yeah, of course this happened.
yeah, this makes sense. We had all these performers, and then we had the story about the stone that felt like obviously this is a part of the story. So a lot of people are still standing around, like just watching. Some people are like clapping when things happen. Like they're like, that looks so real. And
That guy died. He looks so real.
but there are plenty of like boxes or different booths that you could hide behind for cover. Yes.
I'm gonna head over to like behind one of those like some boxes or something so that I have some cover. But I'm also gonna yell at this crowd like, I didn't plan on any of this, so you should probably get out of here.
Beat it.
All right. Buttons. What would you like to do?
I don't like this situation, and I'm like, come to me, friends! And I would like to cast Conjure Animals. I summon Fey spirits that take the form of beasts and appear in unoccupied space. And basically each beast considered Fey disappears when it reaches 0 hit points or the spell ends. Summon creatures friendly to me and my companions. Blah, 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 blah. It obeys verbal commands, yada, yada, yada.
Okay, yeah, so what does this look like? What do you summon and what happens?
Also, I'm a dummy. It's a concentration spell, so I think it ends the enlarge on the other guy. But I don't care!
So he runs over, slams into it, and then shrinks and is like, oh.
Uh-oh.
Howdy, buddy. I'd just be like, come, my friends! And I sort of like slam my staff on the ground, and then 2 giant spiders appear. I can get 2 beasts of challenge rating 1 or lower, and I looked it up, and the giant spiders are 1. So I get to summon 2 giant spiders. And be like, come, get them! And I point at the golem. And then I'd like to, as a goblin, I can do like bonus action shit. So I'm going to hide as a bonus action. I like to get off the stage and maybe like, I'm assuming the stage is like elevated. If I can just like hop off and just kind of like hide next to it or something.
Sure, go ahead and make a stealth roll for that.
Cool. This is probably not going to be very good. Oh, wow. Okay. Pretty good, actually. That is a 23.
Damn. Okay.
Stinky boy.
Yeah, so you're just kind of like backing away as you are going to like duck behind that stage, but as you're backing away, the camera just loses focus of you as these two spiders just come crawling towards the camera.
I would say that they're all green and they have like poorly made what look like goblin masks on the front of them, like children's goblins masks. No. They're like wooden masks, so it's like really kind of disturbing a little bit. And like carved out as like a little goblin face. And I guess, can the spiders just go on my turn?
That's an excellent question.
I think so.
It says summon creatures. Roll initiative for the summon creatures.
Okay.
And I pulled up
If
the
you want
stats
to,
so that you don't
if you
have
want to, they can just go on your turn so that
Okay.
it's
Yeah,
easier
that's
to.
fine.
Yeah.
So for the giant spider, they're going to both use their web attack.
Hell yeah.
To try to restrain the creature.
Not a spell.
Oh, so
attack.
it's an attack. So we'll roll for. Oh boy. Well, the
They have
first one definitely
advantage.
doesn't hit.
They have advantage.
Oh, they have advantage. Then does a 17 hit?
17 is the armor class.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, the first one hits with a web. I'm gonna see if the second one can also hit with their web. Oh yeah, these said they have. Oh god, they rolled the same thing. So the second one does not roll a 9. But what it means is the target is restrained by the webbing. As an action, the restrained target can make a DC 12 strength check to burst out of the webs on a success. The webbing can also be attacked and destroyed. There's like AC and hit points. Vulnerable to fire, bludgeoning damage, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so it's restrained, basically.
Awesome. Anything else for your turn? Hello, Autumn.
I would say the spiders, they shoot the web and then they move. Is there like, you said there's like little stands and stuff near it?
Yes.
Can they like
Not stands, but
go-
like
Little shops.
boxes and yeah, different tents and
Cool.
stuff. Yeah.
I would like the spiders to like opposite ends go up and onto those little boxes and hang out.
Perfect.
Hey, my friends! Yeah! And they jump off the stage, spiders appear, jump on a thing, just to recap.
Fantastic. It is the golem's turn, and I need to make a few checks.
A lot going on
here.
for that golem.
A lot going on for
Going
this
against
golem.
4 bards, so you got a lot.
Yeah, I
A lot
need
of
to make
shit.
a wisdom saving throw. What is the DC? I got a 13.
Failure.
Okay.
Does nothing its whole turn.
It just,
Hell
you see,
yes.
it just looks down at the webbing that is like around its legs currently as the guards are like,
I gave it an existential crisis.
yeah, it just looks down at the webbing, looks at its hands, and I am stone. No, that is the golem's turn. Whimsy, you're up.
Whimsy sees that it's just kind of standing there like adroit, and decides to play a prank. So Whimsy conjures an unseen servant, and like it kind of vanishes like the fake Whimsy that like the illusory Whimsy that was there, and this unseen servant comes and they instruct it to kind of just like pose kind of if you've seen Firefly or the movie of Firefly where River has like her like one leg out pose.
Oh, yeah.
It does that but in front of the golem, and Whimsy like sneaks up behind it and it's like ready to just kind of poosh him over. I think that's like one too many actions, so I'm just gonna
I think it's amazing.
I'm just gonna sneak behind.
Yeah, that sounds excellent. in
He's trying to
preparation to
table them.
push him over, correct?
Just, I'm over there, and like there are people that are like oohing and eyeing, and I've like torn the bottom of my tights off, so now they're like really cute short pants, and
Nice.
like knee-high boots. And I'm like sneaking over, being real silly, and I'm like pointing, and people are like, "Huzzah!" And I'm like, "These people are gonna die, but they'll be
These people are gonna die.
they will be entertained."
The people that Barth told to get out of here are like, wait, was he just kidding?
Balin, you're up.
So Balin first is going to just kind of like reach out with his like little conductor thing, and again is going to just like, and you all can like hear much in the same way that I presume any magical things you guys are doing. He's stating sentences, but in a way that is shaping reality. You know, is like the things that he is saying are just sentences, but that is what his spells are. And so he reaches out and just once again says, "You are stone." And I am going to cast Vicious Mockery upon it. And I would like it to make me a Wisdom saving throw, please. That's what we got. We got a lot of Wisdom saving throws, and that's pretty much the thing.
I have advantage, and I rolled a 3 both times.
Haha! Stupid guy. It takes 6 points of damage, of psychic damage. And it has also disadvantage on the next attack that it does, if it does actually do an attack. And then, seeing that it has kind of been slowed once more, he turns to Whimsy and says, I look forward to more performances from you, and cast Healing Word at 2nd level, in a way that again kind of like fills you with confidence, with a little life. Oh, I rolled very bad. 6
So just
points.
a little.
I rolled a 2 and a 1 on 2d4. So 6 points of healing. And then he's going to just keep backing up. Now that he's bestowed curse and whatever. But that is the end of his turn.
No, so, okay.
Oh no.
Here's my... No. Here's my question for you. Just because of where this has gone. Do you want to make some sort of, like, basically group performance together of, like, seeing that the crowd thinks this is a performance and just kind of, like, playing on that to theatrically defeat this golem?
Do we want to make this a performance? Do we want to be entertaining?
So I'll start, if that's okay, Carrie, because
Sure.
What I'd like to ask, Balin is not proficient in performance. He maybe once was when he was younger, but you know, a lot of his stuff is about, you know, kind of a little bit of the spectacle, but a lot of the tradition of it, and a lot of kind of he is a college of oratory bard. So it's really just about delivering the thing and kind of like getting attention that way. And he wants it to be a good show, but is not either as concerned or as capable of delivering that as he maybe once was. So what I would like to do, what I'd like to pitch to you, is instead of rolling performance, that because again Balin is a college of oratory bard, uses his words to cast magical effects. Can I roll a persuasion check as kind of representative of me continuing to kind of put my will on this creature, as everyone else kind of does the showy like flashes of performance of whatever to kind of sell it to everyone? I am just like continuing to talk to this creature and just like slowly bringing it down, basically.
Diabolical.
I love it.
You're gonna fucking emotionally bully this creature into believing that it
yes.
is nothing more than a stone.
Correct. That is
gonna-
Your
that is
hubris,
You're gonna
sir.
nag this creature.
well, and it's not even
Yes.
it's not even being mean to it necessarily. It is
Gaslighting.
stating things. You know, it is saying you are stone. You know,
Yeah.
and not negatively,
Am I
just
stone?
saying you are stone. I am observing something about you. You are a stone, and I
This is
have an
some
idea
real-
of what a stone is that I am projecting onto you,
Yeah.
and
Gaslighting this
starting
Some
to
real Pennywise power.
kind of. That's a 23.
Reverse Pennywise.
Fantastic.
Persuasion.
23. All right, who would like to
Hell yeah.
who would like to go next?
I'm super curious about Whimsy dispelling the magic. I want to see if that actually works.
That
'Cause,
feels like a
I'm
good
super-
final touch too.
Am I rolling right now?
Well, just like what are you doing?
I was like, I'm
Oh
fine
well,
with
I would like, because I'm like sneaking up behind the creature to be silly. Like I want to push it, and as it trips, like dispel the magic, so it just crumbles into rock, like at my feet.
Fantastic.
That was the move.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm fine with doing nothing. Like, y'all
What
can
would
do
you
that.
what would you like to roll for that?
Performance.
And there's also,
Fantastic.
I would say, you know, like they're selling it on the back end too. We're like, it's one thing to solve the problem, but then it's another to be like, and we got the crowd along with us. That's where everyone else comes in.
Yeah. Before you say your roll, what is Buttons doing like while this is happening?
Oh, I'm making tea. No. I guess I'll. What is Buttons doing? Place a hand on the golem and be like, "It's all right. You can go back to sleep. Go back to sleep, young golem. It's not your time yet." And just helping along with what Valen's doing.
Yeah, go ahead and make some sort of
Make
check
a
for that.
roll a
Like
dice to do a
charisma,
thing.
charisma,
I wanna do
persuasion. Like, yeah.
Because they have a +10 in persuasion. Oh! That is a natural 20, sir! That is a 30! I'm like, go back to bed, Rock!
I think he is going to jump up onto the crates that he was behind and just make a show of it. He's going to pull his lute around and just, there's an old song that he has that has this really great like rhythm to it. So he's just going to just play that riff over and over again. And people are just going to be like, look at this, it's part of the show.
Go ahead and make a performance roll for me.
That's a 15.
I
Okay.
give him bardic inspiration.
Oh, a D8 of bardic inspiration.
I'd be like, play that song, young fella.
Well, I rolled a 1 on that, which is typical Barth.
And
16.
Whimsy,
Big 16.
your roll was a natural 20, correct? For a total of
29.
we see our two old men
Oh,
moving to
One very short and one very nude. Both bearded old men.
moving
Give him a
toward
wink.
this golem on either side, just talking to this golem, and the words are being drowned out by the crowd who's sitting there like starting to get amped up by this, and they're kind of like looking around like, oh, this is the big finale, isn't it? And everybody's like looking around ready, and Barth jumps up on one of those boxes and starts playing, and at first you can hear it pretty well, but at the playing the crowd starts like cheering, like they know this is the finale. The crowd's voices and stomping and clapping are drowning out a lot of Barth's playing and all of the words that the other two are saying. And then we just see the golem on this stage as it's just looking from one hand to the other hand, and its legs are still not even like entwined with this webbing. It's not pushing against the webs. It's just standing there still, looking at the hands, looking up, looking around at the entire crowd. And then you see in one little motion it push forward just slightly, like it's going to fall onto its knees, but instead seems to like almost trip over something, slam down onto its knees off of the stage. The crowd kind of like backs up. There's a moment of oh shit, oh no. The crowd is backing up quickly, slams down onto its knees, and you see all of the like spell effects just falling from this creature. The fairy fire disappears. The webbing itself even like dissolves, and it's just stone. And you watch, there's still a little glowing in the golem's eyes that you see flicker again. And then sitting there on his knees, kind of like reaches out towards the crowd. And you hear this voice say, "I am stone." And then you hear the cracking as the magical effect leaves this golem entirely. And this golem is stone. A statue. Now standing here in the performance district of Falmount. And as its head kind of like hangs down just enough for the camera to see Whimsy standing on the other side, having just given a little bit of a push. And Barth strums one final strum. And the crowd is absolutely silent for a solid, 3 seconds. And then everybody starts clapping again. Everybody's like, woo! You hear some people like, I knew it was a group performance. And people are just clapping and clapping. And you see the announcer is nowhere to be seen. The announcer is like, no, I'm out of here the moment the golem started falling from the earth. Or falling from the sky. But everybody is clapping. Let's go ahead and cut to some interview reactions. Of how you're feeling right at this moment.
Did you see that? Oh! Wow. Who the fuck did that? Who sent that golem in the middle of my debut? I was killing out there. Yes. I think it was the old man. You know the one. Talking about stones the whole time. Well played, Balin. Well played.
Well, a rock fell, and it was alive, and we beat it, and it's pretty cool. It was a really neat experience. I'd do it again. It was nice performing with everyone else. Yeah. It's like some symbolism there, huh? Pretty hot.
I performed like I usually do. I think the crowd liked it. I still am going to do that meet and greet over at the Drunk Unicorn, but after that, I think it's time for me to move on from here. I've had enough of this place. Time to go to another venue, I think.
That was some event. I will say it is not a surprise that the golem fell down from Crown's Peak, where all the nobles are. So that's something to remember, all of you out there. Should go and get them. But that was definitely a story to remember.
And in the background of your interview, Buttons, you see guards rushing around all over the place. People have come down from Crown's Peak and are clearly aware that these golems fell, but they are coming down to see are the golems taken care of, blah blah blah, and they're looking at this golem that is now a statue in the performance district, and they're everyone's quizzically how did this happen? You just see all of the guards bustling, I guess is the best word to describe what we see behind Buttons during his interview.
As I mentioned before, old Pappy Buttons just wants to find some young folks who are up for revolution, because we need to bring down the nobility, because we need to find some knob, as someone put in the chat. We need to find some knobs and get them ready to bring down the patriarchy. So that's his goal. If the bards want to help him, that's amazing. But if not, he's just kind of a wandering little old guy.
Whimsy decides that they want to go and follow Buttons for a time. Whimsy is nomadic. They love kind of covering a lot of ground so she can get as many followers and sycophants and lovers as possible. So she follows Buttons to and joins the revolution because they heard that there's hot chicks that are at the revolution.
Ooh,
Revolutionary.
so true.
Everyone who's hot goes to revolution.
Yeah, they tend to do the weird stuff too, and they're curious, so they're like,
Well,
What's
because
what's that about?
They could die any day. So
Yeah,
what's there to hold back?
gotta seize it.
Also, I have a little hut spell that I can conjure for you when. So just putting that out there as
Yes.
flavor.
And I slowly,
that.
she slowly educates Buttons about their life and the charms and knowledge from their song that he unfortunately is missing,
Oh, now
and
that you
hopefully
mention
finds a few goblins to jump his decrepit bones.
it.
Whimsy, the ultimate and most devoted wing person.
That's it. I mean, if he is into that, if he's not into that, find a nice goblin to hold his hand.
I'm gonna roll a d6 to see if Buttons fucks.
uh,
It's a 6, he fucks.
yes. Okay. So I'm hooking him up. Is what I'm doing.
He's like, oh, you meant smash time.
Yes. Yes.
All those other innuendos, I didn't. See, goblins have different terms for all of these things.
Really?
Balin actually I don't think would go to the revolution. Balin, his order, I imagined it as very much like they're not collecting new stories. They love new stories and they love new music and all that kind of stuff, but that's not what they're about. They're there to tell the old stories in the way that they've always been told. And there's kind of like a set collection, but Balin has been doing it long enough now that Balin is kind of like enjoying his time, but has moved on to finding new old stories to add to the canon, like new versions or old manuscripts, old retellings of the same stories, that kind of stuff, because they're very bad at preserving that, and trying to find the oldest, best, most original version of these stories as possible, not in an elitist way, but in a like it's valuable to have like a through line of story and what it meant across time. And so I think Balin just goes back to wandering, until he finds something else, other opportunities, other whatevers. That he is just he is a wanderer, and always at the next town to tell some stories at.
Can I feel like at one night, maybe before we parted ways, I feel like maybe Buttons and Balin were just kind of like exchanging stories for a little while, because I'm assuming you probably haven't had many goblin stories. So I've been like telling you all of the goblin stories that I know. Like, oh, there's this one, the story of the Fiblam Doobly and Jimpy Doorknob and Pappy Kettle and all these weird stories.
He remembers. He doesn't write any of it down, but he's just listening the whole time. And he it's very funny. He actually doesn't tell any of his own stories for a long time. Like just it's like, oh, that reminds me of this story, of this kind of classical story. And like, I'd imagine Buttons just kind of keeps like either telling his own stories or telling stories about himself or whatever that's important to him. But it would take, I'm imagining, and we don't need to play it out or anything, but just there is a moment where finally Buttons and or the rest of you guys get like one actual story of a thing that Balin did in his own life, as like he's been wandering, obviously he's adventured, he's done lots of things, and you finally eventually crack and get some story of how he saved a town, saved a princess, did whatever, and had his own little heroic moment.
Barth goes back to the drunken unicorn. He has a meet and greet with 6 of the Grook's heads that are there. Thanks them kindly, spends some time with them, goes up to his room, grabs his gear, notices that there was a letter on one of the desks. He picks up the letter, reads it, and knows where he needs to go next.
How is the gold distributed? What's going on there?
Yeah.
Because,
Did
like,
anyone?
what the
So
fuck?
no one was there to like give you the pot of gold. So like, did one of you snatch it? Did you split it? Like, what did happen with that pot of gold
I have an unseen servant, but I'm not going to steal from y'all today.
They.
today?
You know where Buttons is.
Yeah,
You can always get it a little bit more if you ever care to. Yeah, Balin would take some, but would not count it. Would just like, I'm imagining there's like a literal pot, of like where people just throwing in tips, and then he would just grab like a handful, or something like that. Whatever, would not be concerned about splitting it 4 ways. Would just grab whatever he grabbed, and it would almost certainly be less than whatever the 1/4 is.
Oh,
but
Buttons
would
would
be happy.
insist that everyone gets 4 shares because you're going on a long road. You need this gold, or you're gonna be cold out there. You gotta buy yourself a new coat. You're naked all the time, and you need a new
I'm
coat to
imagining
stay
Balin
warm.
has grabbed this and is just like walking off, and Buttons is like also slowly just
You're
ranting.
naked all the time. Da, 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 da.
Need
And
this
as
for food.
as Buttons is following off into the sunset, that is the end of our All Bards story, which was absolutely fucking bananas. You started telling your story, Nathan, and I was like, holy shit.
Gizmit!
I'd like to dedicate this performance to your partner, who shared all of your DM notes with me before the session, so that I could.
Sweet.
That could be why I'm
You
so
stuck
weird.
a tube
but
through my heart, and then
they shot
made
it
me a
with radio
superhero
waves.
poem.
They actually
The-
put it into arrhythmia, like in the surgery, and I woke up in the middle of the surgery.
Oh my
Oh!
god.
How was that not included in the original version of the story?
Oh my god.
That's like an extra fun fact.
Was
on
it
top
terrifying?
Of it. Like, no, it was weird. It was like waking out of a dream. I was like, oh yeah, I could feel that in my heart. And they're like, go back to sleep, Bob. And I was like, okay.
Back to sleep, Bob. Don't
Easy
stop
peasy.
thinking your heart. Get out of here.
Children
Because
are
they had
so
to, like, put
annoyingly
it in-
resilient.
You can
They had
just
to, like-
see one of the doctors with a heart just in his hand, being like, "Go back to sleep. What are you doing?"
You're not supposed to be awake yet, Bob.
We're not. We are. We're just about to put this back in here. You're like,
We promise. There will be a heart connected when you wake up.
Oh my
Go back
god.
to sleep.
you may bleat like a goat every now and then, but